We have the greatest economy we've ever had. Costs are way down. Gasoline is going to be hitting $2 pretty soon, or around $2. When gasoline comes down, when energy comes down, and everybody agrees energy's down, we're drill, drill, baby, drill. We will have over $20 trillion come into our economy, and it's largely because of my election, but it's also largely because of tariffs.
All right. So, as I said before, over half the states, maybe more, I think more than half, have a two-handle on gasoline prices. Not $2, but a two-handle, like $2.50 or $2.75. Anyway, joining us now is Newt Gingrich, former House Speaker, Fox News contributor. Newt, you have a new record stock market today. It's been roaring ever since the bottom in April. I mean, roaring. It roared right through the shutdown. And Mr. Trump is right about gasoline prices. We produced another 1 million barrels of oil. So it's quite remarkable. We're closing in on 14 million. Along with the Saudis, that's bringing energy prices down. So the question is, on affordability, they lost a couple elections. I don't understand it. If they communicate this stuff, they should be in great shape.
Well, I think part of it, though, is it's always dangerous to tell the American people how they should feel. I think part of it is the steady rise in health costs. And I just have written some things on the really desperate importance of moving to transparency in costs, because frankly, a family of four on average now spends $27,000 a year on insurance. That they buy a car annually for insurance. In addition, the price of housing is still too high. And those two things come together and give people the sense that they don't have money. The fact is, underlying it, that incomes are up in real terms, that the economy is beginning to really, I think, start to move in a way that you and I believe in. But for the short term, those two things, if we have a negotiation this fall and we can get a serious move towards individual markets with real transparency in cost and quality, that'll bring down the cost of health. At the same time, I think Secretary Besson has some strong ideas about how to bring down the cost of housing. At that point, by early next year, affordability will be gone. We will be in the beginning of the Trump boom. And basically, we'll have a campaign in 26 between a Trump boom and the Democrats' gloom. And I have no doubt who the American people will pick given that choice.
I don't know that a 50-year mortgage is going to do it, frankly. But I do think it's an interesting idea. Look, Steve Miller was on the show earlier, okay? Smart guy, close Trump advisor. They want to end the filibuster and believe that they have to get there first because the Democrats will want to end it for their reasons with which we disagree. And if you get to the filibuster first, they believe they can get through a lot of legislation. You're talking about health care. They could end Obamacare or radically change Obamacare, which should be, because the thing's been a failure from day one. What do you think of that whole nexus? Let's get to ending the filibuster first so we can get health care reform and housing reform and lower tax rates and so forth and so on.
Look, I agree with Senator John Thune. I think it's a dangerous idea. I mean, first of all, my goal is to have us win in 26, win in 28, win in 30, and win in 32. So I'm not worried about the Democrats being able to do anything with the filibuster, because I don't want to see the Democrats back in charge, frankly, for the next decade or longer. But second, if you build and we just saw this happen, you build enough public support, as Reagan used to, you'll pass everything, ultimately. Because in the end, there'll be some Democrats who decide they can't oppose everybody back home. And I think we're much better off to focus on substance and not get involved in the Senate procedure. And candidly, I don't think they can get the votes. I think there are enough people who are worried. The Constitution deliberately wanted the Senate to be slower than the House. George Washington said that the Senate was supposed to be the cooling saucer to the hot cup of coffee coming out of the House. That's Washington. Now, we've lived with that as a House member. I'm not all that happy with it, but we have lived with it for 250 years. And I think let's focus on substance. Let's find the issues that matter. 85, 90% of the American people favor transparency and health costs, for example. People favor controlling spending by huge margins. There are a lot of things we can do that'll be very popular. We build that base, we win a big election in 26, and you don't have to worry about the filibuster.
How important is it in this period, okay, 26, 28, 30, how important is it for the Republican Party to, number one, get the budget deficit way down, and number two, to reduce the level of federal debt? How important is that, in your judgment, politically?
Well, as you know, I wrote a workbook on how to get to a balanced budget, which people can get at Gingrich360.com, because we did balance the budget for 4 straight years, the only time in the last century. I think it's very important in the long run because of the long-term implications for international finance. You cannot have the biggest economy in the world running up debt year after year after year. And when you look at what we now pay on interest on the debt, we pay more to bondholders than we're paying for national defense.
Right.
Now that's crazy. And in the long run, it's not sustainable. So I'm very much in favor, and I think a key test of the negotiations this fall, they cannot increase the deficit. Republicans have to insist that whatever deal they cut between now and the end of the year, it actually reduces the deficit. It doesn't increase it.
All right, Newt Gingrich, terrific stuff. Thank you, Newt. Good to see you. Appreciate it very much.